The hostess smiled and told me our table was already booked and the name on the reservation was not mine. It was our 14th anniversary at the same restaurant where I had proposed, and I had the old ring box in my coat to show our daughter the next morning. The name glowing on her little screen belonged to the man I had made an equal partner in my own company, Daniel Cole. If you have ever been the one who kept the peace, who told himself that loyalty and patience always get paid back, then you already know the kind of quiet that fell over me at that podium. Stay with me, because what started with that reservation took everything I had built, and for a while it took my name too. I want to tell you how a man ends up sleeping in his truck behind a lumber yard while another man sleeps in his bed. But first you have to understand what I gave away and how gladly I gave it. Daniel and I met on a framing crew when we were both 22 and broke. When he could not make rent, I covered it, and I never wrote it down. 8 years later, when I started the firm, the bank only needed my name on the loan, but I walked into the lawyer's office and made him a 50-50 partner anyway. My wife, Claire, thought I was a fool for it. I told her that you build something real by trusting people more than they expect, and she kissed my forehead and called me her good man. For 12 years, I believe that was the whole story of my life. The firm had 26 people on payroll, a name on a building downtown, and a reputation I would have bled for. Claire ran the front office 2 days a week. Daniel ran the field, and I ran the numbers and the handshakes. I thought we were a family with a logo. The reservation was the first thread, and I pulled it the way you pull a loose stitch, not knowing the whole coat comes apart. I did not make a scene at the restaurant. I drove home, and I asked Claire, calm as I could, why Daniel had booked our table. She did not even flinch. She told me I was working too hard, that I was seeing things, that I had been unwell for months and everyone had noticed. That word, unwell. She said it like it was already written down somewhere. It was. 2 weeks later, a process server handed me divorce papers in my own driveway, and the petition described a man having a breakdown, unstable, frightening, unfit. The same morning, my badge would not open the office door. Daniel met me in the parking lot with a cardboard box of my own things and 2 men I did not recognize. He told me the partnership agreement had a buy-sell clause that a partner could force a sale if the other became. And he paused on the word, impaired. He had a doctor's letter, a lawyer's letter, and a number. The number was what they would pay me for half of everything I had built, and it was about 1/5 of what it was worth. I want to be honest about what the bottom looked like, because this is the part people skip. The restraining order came with the divorce, so I could not go to my own house, and I could not see my daughter without a stranger in the room taking notes. The first night I slept in my work truck in the gravel lot behind the lumber yard, with my coat over my chest and that ring box in the cup holder. I told myself it was for one night. It was for 140. People I had given work to for 10 years stopped returning my calls. At the hardware store, a man I had coached Little League with looked at me, then turned down a different aisle. The story going around town was that I had lost my mind, that Claire was brave, that Daniel had carried the company through my collapse like a saint. My daughter, who was 9, got on the phone one Sunday and asked me in a small voice why I had scared Mommy. I sat in that gravel lot, and I could not make a single sound come out. They had not just taken my company and my house. They had reached into the one person who still loved me and rewritten me there too. I took day labor jobs 2 towns over where no one knew my face. A foreman kept calling me Dave because he had misread my name on the sheet. And after a while, I stopped correcting him, because the man named Dave had nothing left to lose, and that was easier to be. One cold morning, I sat in the truck with the engine off and worked out very calmly, like a man doing his taxes, whether anyone would really notice if I did not turn the key. The only thing that made me turn it was the ring box, and the fact that my daughter was still alive and might one day need me to be too. The thing that pulled me up was a voicemail, left at 4 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. It was Rosa, the bookkeeper, a woman whose son I had quietly kept on payroll the year he was sick. She said only this: "Something is wrong with the books, and you are still on the loan, so you have a right to look. Please look." I had forgotten what she reminded me of. The buyout had not fully closed, and my name was still on the personal guarantee for the company's bank loan. A man who guarantees a loan has a legal right to see how his money is being spent. For the first time in months, I was not a beggar. I was a creditor. I sat in a public library in a clean shirt and wrote one calm letter to the bank, citing my guarantee, requesting the audited financials. I did not threaten anyone. I just asked for paper I was legally owed, and I let the law do the asking for me. Daniel thought I was gone. He answered the bank like a man with nothing to hide, and he handed over the very documents that would bury him. I could not read forensic accounting, so I spent my last real money on someone who could. Her name was Priya, and she worked nights for a flat fee because she said she had been the wife in a story like mine once. Within a week, she found the first lie. 2 months before they forced me out, the firm had signed an $800,000 contract with the county, and Daniel had buried it, kept it off the books that set my buyout price. He had made the company look small on paper so he could buy my half for nothing. "That is fraud," Priya said. "Not a feeling, a fact you can file." Then she found the apartment. Company money, $2,200 a month flowing to a vendor called Coal Logistics that did no work and owned no trucks. Coal Logistics paid the lease on a condo across the river. I drove past it once and saw Claire's car in the visitor spot. He was not just stealing my company. He was buying my wife with it. I asked Daniel to meet me for coffee, man to man, and I let him believe I had come to beg. In my state, one person in a conversation is allowed to record it, and I had read that law 3 times to be sure. He spread his hands, and he smiled, and he told me the truth because he thought it could not touch him. He said Claire had come to him 2 years ago, that the breakdown letter was a favor from a doctor who owed him, that I had always been too soft to run anything. He said the best part out loud. He said, "You signed it yourself, Dave." He even got my name wrong, and I let him. And the little red light on the phone in my pocket never blinked. I gave everything to my attorney, a tired, honest man named Walsh, who took me on a payment plan. We filed to rescind the buyout for fraud, and we sent the embezzlement to the bank and to the firm's silent third investor, an old contractor named Boyd, who had put in real money and did not like surprises. 2 days later, it almost all died. Claire went to the court and swore the recording had been made in violation of the protective order, and a judge ordered my laptop and my phone seized that same afternoon. Daniel's lawyer told the bank the documents were a disgruntled ex-partner's fantasy. Boyd stopped taking my calls. For one long night, I had nothing again. No files, no phone, no proof, just a truck and a ring box, and a story no one would believe. What Daniel didn't know was what I had done the very first night. The night Priya found the hidden contract, I had emailed a full copy of everything to Walsh and to Priya and to a paralegal in another state, 3 places they could never reach. And the contract was not really mine to lose, because to refinance the firm, Daniel had been forced to disclose that same $800,000 deal to the bank in his own signed filing months before. His own paperwork, sworn under his own hand, said the company was worth exactly what he had sworn to a different room that it was not. A man cannot tell 2 lies to 2 banks, and keep them both. The firm's 25th anniversary gala was held in the lobby of the building with my name on the lease, and the whole town came. Daniel was getting a Small Business Leader of the Year plaque from the Chamber of Commerce. He stood at a microphone in a good suit, with Claire beside him in a dress I had paid for, and he announced their engagement to a room full of applause. I was not there to make a scene. I had simply made sure the right people were. Boyd was there, because Walsh had finally shown him the two filings side by side, and Boyd had read them twice and gone very quiet. The bank's lawyer was there. A detective from the County Financial Crimes Unit was there, near the coat room, holding nothing, waiting. Daniel lifted his glass and thanked the company for trusting him through a difficult chapter, and he looked right at the spot where I used to stand. Then Boyd walked up the 2 steps to the microphone and asked, in front of everyone, why the county contract from 2 summers ago was on the bank's papers, but not on the ones used to buy out his partner. The applause stopped the way a record stops. Daniel laughed and reached for the mic, and Boyd did not give it to him. He read the buyout figure out loud, and then the bank figure, and let the difference hang in the air over 400 people. Claire said my name, my real name, like a question. The first time in a year anyone had used it right. The detective crossed the room without hurry. Coal logistics, he said, and the apartment lease, and the $800,000, and Daniel finally stopped smiling. They did not put handcuffs on him in front of the cameras. They walked him out a side door, which somehow was worse, and the plaque stayed on the table with his name already engraved on it, paid for, unclaimed. The fraud voided the buy-sell clause, the same clause Daniel had used to take my half, and the court handed the company back to me and Boyd. The recording and the financials reopened the divorce, and the staged breakdown letter ended the doctor's license and ended Claire's claim to the house. My daughter came home in the spring. She asked me once why Mommy did not live with us, and I told her the truth in the smallest true words I could find, and I never made her choose. Daniel was charged with embezzlement and fraud, and the last I heard he was selling his condo across the river to pay a lawyer who would not take a payment plan. On my 15th anniversary, the one that was supposed to be ours, I went back to that restaurant alone. The same hostess smiled at me, and this time, when she asked for the name on the reservation, I gave her mine. I sat at a good table by the window, and I ate slowly, and I didn't feel like a fool for trusting people. Only careful now about which ones. Here is the thing about being the one who keeps the peace. The quiet you keep is not always weakness. And one day, a man learns the difference between staying silent because he is afraid, and staying silent because he is building the case that ends it. If you had been handed that reservation, with another man's name where yours should be, would you have made a scene that night, or would you have gone quiet and gone to work? Tell me below, because I read everyone. And if a quiet table by the window is the kind of justice you can sit with, stay a while, because I have one more story about the things people sign when they think no one will ever check.